What is up, everyone? Welcome to another edition of Live Locks, presented by Scores and Odds. If you haven't checked it out already, just making bad live choices, going over to scoresandodds.com. We got picks from me, Meansy, this piece of crap over here. Plus, you get access to our nice little prop shopping tool where you can see exactly what we have projected for each individual prop, plus where the best lines at, and most importantly, get access to Grant's Action Lines. What is Grant's Action Line? Well, it's my Discord where I'm throwing in all my picks each and every day so you can get them in before the line ends up moving. Just go to scoresandodds.com/Discord and get on in there. I'm joined today by this piece of crap, Daniel Schvelson, aka DFS Almanac. How you doing there, Daniel? Is my intro too long?
Say it again.
Is my intro too long?
It's too fast. If you really want to know the answer, like I know what you're saying, but I don't know if somebody new knows what you're saying. There's a lot going on, but
yeah, no, that's fair. I tend to speed talk, so the intro doesn't take a full minute.
Yeah,
but I guess they should just be go fudge and sign up for Scores and Odds. I got all my picks in my Discord.
And I'm a big hypocrite too if I'm telling somebody else to speak too fast, that they're speaking too fast, because I tend to on occasion as well. Are you this polite, by the way, as far as the intro with all your guests, or am I just the lucky one?
You're just the lucky one.
Yeah.
You're just a piece of crap. Yeah, you know, it's weird. Yeah. I used to have a stutter growing up.
Yeah?
Yeah, real bad.
I'm glad you fixed that. I had trouble with S's. I had to go to speech class when I was in like second, third, fourth grade or something like that. So, yeah, we all had something, I guess.
Yeah.
Congratulations on ditching it.
Yeah, well, now I talk for a living. Weird when things happen. I was also mostly illiterate. Now I write for a living. So, weird things happen.
Hey, you know what? Dare to dream.
Yeah. Did you know that we have football this weekend and we have basketball today?
Yeah, man. The football thing, I'm so tilted on, Grant. I don't know if you want to talk about football or not, or just sort of like the sides and the totals. Like when the numbers where they were at earlier in the week, I thought they were outrageous, and I didn't move on it. But I didn't understand it. Like the Chiefs were getting 1.5 at home. I know a lot of that was speculation on Mahomes' injury and probably some recency bias on Cincinnati walloping Buffalo. But I didn't get the Chiefs getting 1.5, I believe they're getting. And then Philadelphia, I think they opened as a 1-point favorite. At one point, they're just a 1-point favorite. And I'm like, what is going on here? Like, people want to anoint, they want to crown Brock Purdy. I think we're going to find out, like, he is who we thought he was. Not terrible, but, I still don't understand the line. I still like Philadelphia minus 2.5. And I think it's going to settle there. That appears to be what's going to settle. Maybe it bumps to 3. Are you with me with that? Because I've talked to some people, and some people don't believe that, which is fine. Who am I? But I like both favorites, but both home teams, I guess I'll say. Now they're both favorites, but they weren't favorites all week. And now I'm tilted because the lines are not where they want them to be. I want the old lines, but they're not available anymore.
KC's a favorite now?
KC is a 1.5-point favorite. Mahomes has been practicing all week. He's not in a walking boot. And there was speculating, and like, he's probably not going to be 100% Mahomes, I guess. But he seems to be, at least from what's out there, that he's going to be better than what some anticipated him to be.
Yeah.
You have any bets locked in or no?
I have not sides totals. I have a decent amount of props already locked in. I went through those this morning. So we'll just cruise through basketball real quick. Josh Giddey, under 30.5 points, rebounds, assists. Thoughts on that? I think that's a bit too high. He's been playing a little bit over his head recently. Gets a tough matchup here, going up against Cleveland, slowest paced team, one of the best defensive teams. I think Giddey's going to struggle a bit.
Yeah, I haven't thought about Josh Giddey, to be honest. It is we have first time in a while we actually have a different rotation today for OKC. They've been pretty stable, which you never see OKC being stable, pretty stable of late. But the Dortcher chamber, no Lou Dort. Lou Dort's unavailable. I'm not sure how that directly hits Giddey. It doesn't hurt him, I don't think. He might play.
If anything, it's probably going to help Giddey or hurt Giddey. Just probably not going to have the same usage. I mean, assume Wiggins or Williams is going to have a little bit more usage than Dort. Although Dort's not terrible.
I feel like those guys are probably similar as far as usage. I don't have.
I'd give a slight edge to Williams or Wiggins.
Okay.
Not much.
I mean, he'll probably be asked to do a little bit more defensively, possibly, but not less. Maybe a little bit more. Dort, obviously, the best defender there for the OKC side. Let's see. Kenrich Williams. Well, that's the other thing is you don't really know who's going to be starting for OKC. It could be Wiggins. I wouldn't be surprised if it's Isaiah Joe. Isaiah Joe is a 17% usage guy. Wiggins is a 14% usage guy. Giddey 24%.
Never trust a man with two first names.
Yeah.
Ricky Bobby.
Yeah, you don't trust Ricky Bobby?
Ricky Bobby. He just wants to go fast.
Well, yeah. Yeah, I mean, what's why would you besmirch a man just wants to go fast? He wants to win first and last.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
He likes crepes too. He had no idea.
I don't go fast anymore. I'm too old for that.
No. Well, you got a child on layaway too, so you got to think about the future.
Yep. They did get a Tesla, and that goes fast.
Yeah, well, I mean,
although 18-year-old me's got to be pissed because I went with a long range instead of the fast one. Oh,
you're getting a Tesla?
Yeah.
Look at you. By the way, the report just came out as we're recording here. Mahomes' ankle, he's going to be a full go, is in quotes, which I don't know if that's coach speak or whatever. I assume he's basically fine, but maybe that's a wrong assumption.
I'd say it's probably 10 to 15% decrease of what he normally would be.
Maybe, yeah. And again, we're not privy to the medicals. I don't want to be an armchair doctor, Twitter doctor, whatever you want to call it. But yeah. And of course, like he's going to play. Like even if he was like 70%, like he's going to play, right?
Yeah, 50% Mahomes is still better than most of the quarterbacks in the league.
One leg Mahomes, basically. Yeah.
Well, 2 legs.
Good on Brandy for his one drive last week, but yeah. I don't want to throw back to football for a second, but I just happened to see that pop up on the old.
Yeah, let's just get their basketball. I got 3 other bets. Giannis over 30.5 points minus 118. Giannis going up against Indy, one of the fastest paced teams in the league. I think third right now. One of the worst defensive teams in the league, bottom 6, I believe. Giannis is going to get over 30.
Indiana, I got Indiana 5th for what it's worth. But yeah, your point is still made as far as the pace. It is certainly appealing. A good opponent to match up against. The only issue would be is Indiana going to be able to stick around? Are they going to be able to keep it close? They have been horrendous. I'm pulling this from the expert survey. This is from Meansy. I was just reading this. Since January 13th, the first game played without Tyrese Halliburton, the best player in Indiana, the Pacers have a negative 10.7 net rating, which means they've been outscored by 10.7 points per 100 possessions. That's for everybody. And to put that in a context, the Spurs, they're horrendous. They're terrible. Their net rating is not as bad. It's like negative 9.5. It's terrible. They've been a disaster organization without Tyrese Halliburton. No surprise, best player on their team and not a ton of depth there.
They got TJ McConnell.
They do have TJ McConnell.
He's been crushing it. He's been filthy recently.
I mean, yeah, he's a good fantasy guy, but TJ McConnell's not the guy. Like, he's not the difference between winning and losing. He's great for DFS. So we're talking daily fantasy sports, but as far as he can only have so much grittiness and guttiness. He can only show up so early to the gym. He still is TJ McConnell. But yeah, sure.
That's fair. I still like the over on Giannis. Siakam over 24.5 points, minus 113 at FanDuel. Siakam, Warriors, mediocre defensive team, fastest pace team in the league, one of the biggest pace upgrades possible for the Raptors. Siakam, a little bit up and down recently. Yes, he might get Draymond defense, but still 24.5 points, a bit too low.
Yeah, and the thing with Pascal is you might get 40 minutes. It's you really
probably will get 40 minutes.
We are projecting 39. Outrageous. That's insane. But that's kind of that's realistic. That's what we're
giving 39
minutes. Yeah,
last
they
one,
play. Go ahead.
Don't expect you to have any input on this. Jaden McDaniels over 3.5 rebounds. We have projected at 4. I am projected for slightly over 4. He's getting 4.
I would just say that they would probably go up if Gobert doesn't play. Gobert is currently questionable, but I think Gobert is going to play. Like he's been playing. I don't know if we're just going to get a Q tag from Gobert like going forward. I feel like that's been the case his last 4 games or so. He's played the last 2. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it is. I'm not really sure what's going on. That is the first half of the ESPN doubleheader, I believe. You can bet when LeBron breaks the scoring record. Are you aware of this? I assume you're aware of this.
Pa and Denver Dude Bets, who was on with me yesterday, they have him bet for Milwaukee in like a week or something.
That's so funny. A buddy of mine texted me a couple days ago and said that they bet like that's the one that makes the most sense. I think it's home versus Milwaukee on national TV.
Yep.
And the heir apparent, if you want to give somebody like an heir apparent, it's Giannis, I suppose. I don't know. You can argue about who that is. But like Giannis in the house as well. Yeah.
Yeah, Kareem will be there.
Say it again.
Kareem will be there.
Yeah, it's in LA. I don't know. Like I assume Kareem resides in. I don't want to assume that, but maybe he does. And he's probably gonna be in the house like for several games. I'm curious. Like I think the only question is, the big question is probably how many games does he sit? And like, is he mapping it out with his people, like trying to figure it out? Like, what's the optimal way to do it? Or like he says he doesn't care and like, whatever. I mean, he's had so many accolades. Maybe he doesn't. I assume it means something to him, but maybe it doesn't matter where he does it. I feel like it would just be more in LA versus like Milwaukee as opposed to, I don't know, a Wednesday night in Indiana. Like, ideally, if you could pick. I don't know if they're playing around that. You know what I mean? Are the odds like good on that, or just
he got him at like 17-1 a while ago?
Oh wow, that's beautiful. Nicely done.
Yeah. Football. 2 good games.
Yeah.
We'll get right into this. Jalen Hurts over 32.5 pass attempts, -115 over at Betfred. That I am now a VIP at because they don't know any better yet.
They'll give anybody a VIP at Betfred.
I mean, well, I took them for a lot of money and then I gave it all back and then some. So it's been a rough month, but I've been on a heater the last 5 days. So.
Nice. And you're telling me about some of the parlays you're hitting pre-show.
Yeah, we can talk about that if we have time later on, but knowing you, we probably won't. But Hurts over 32.5 passing yards. I have to assume they're going to throw a decent amount, more than they threw against the Giants. Should be a close game. San Fran, good run defense. I assume they're going to throw a decent amount here. 32.5 is just a bit too low to me.
That is not something I've dug into, but I think that's a good call. Yeah, I don't know about that.
All right, next one then. Juwan Jennings, under 22.5 receiving yards, -115 at DK. Under 21.5 receiving yards, -115 at Betfred. He has been solid so far in the playoffs, but this number is just a tad bit too high versus a tough Philly pass defense.
How much is he playing?
I think he's getting decent snaps.
Wide receiver 3. I mean, I can't imagine he's getting a ton of targets just with all the options there. CMC.
They run a lot of 21 personnel, so yeah, he's been targeted a lot heavier than he should have recently. But I'm expecting more Debo, more Ayuk in this spot.
Okay, yeah, I was trying to pull up on the fly, like his routes run and things like that. But I mean, he's not the first or second or third option typically, right?
Yeah, well, it's Debo, it's Ayuk, it's Kittle, it's McCaffrey.
CMC, yeah.
Yep. Miles Sanders, under 5.5 receiving yards. So looking at the last 10 weeks,
they don't pass the ball to him.
Yeah, no targets, 1 target, no targets, 1 target for 6 yards, 1 target for -13 yards, 3 targets, 2 targets, 3 targets. He had double-digit receiving yards. 1 for 1 yard, 1 for 0 yards, 0 for 0 yards, 0 for 0 yards, 0 or 1 for 1 yard. He has he has not really done too much.
General rules, like quarterbacks that run tend to not be good for running back receptions, and that plays out here. Yeah, we were talking about this on the Pick Six show. If you guys are playing DFS, I'll throw it out there. If you're not aware, if you're playing some DFS this week, still $1 million contest on DK for the 2-game conference, the 2 conference games. Check out the Roto Runners NFL Pick Six show. Myself, two of the absolute best in the business, John Daigle and Rich Rebar, and combine their names into one person. But yeah, feel free to check that out. It's on the YouTubes and probably where you have your downloads as well. Roto-Grinders, Pick Six, have at it, enjoy it. We talked about it for like an hour and 15 minutes. We broke down those two games, so all the angles.
So I assume you know what you're talking about for this game.
Well, I am the host of that show, and I am the third smartest person in that show. They are.
No arguments here.
Well, this show, I'm at least the second smartest person in the room. We agree on that at least?
The spreadsheet's smarter than you.
Is there a mouse in your pocket?
Yep. Docs is in the room.
Oh, I do like Docs.
You cool puppy.
Your dog, for people who are not aware.
Yeah. Quez Watkins really hasn't been used too much recently. He's kind of just gotten forgotten in this offense. I have him under 16.5 receiving yards, minus 120 at Betfred.
Yeah, we talked about Quez as being like an interesting tournament dart for G. He's one of those guys that all he needs is one play, obviously, to break that. I don't have a lot of confidence it's going to happen, but yeah, I do not have a good take as far as that 16.5 over or under. I trust that you have dug into it more than I have.
As I have. Juju, under 48.5 receiving yards, minus 115 over at DK. He hasn't been doing much, and I mean, potentially hobbled Mahomes. Juju's hit the under in 7 out of the last 9 games, I believe.
There's so many options. And none of them get there, right? MVS and Tony and Watson and
I got
Sky
Tony
Moore.
under receiving yards, 35.5.
That seems too high. Like that just feels too high to me. Kelsey obviously has been dominant. There's Noah Gray lurking. Did I mention Sky Moore? Mecole Hardman might come back from injury. They'll drop it off to McKinnon sometimes. Of course, that didn't happen last week. I believe McKinnon had 0 catches, maybe even 0 targets last week, which is surprising.
I think he did.
Yeah. I mean, he's been the guy that's just kind of like defying all sorts of math and scoring a touchdown every single week, despite only getting so many looks. That finally came crashing down for him. Stop getting away with it.
Touchdown, 2 touchdowns, touchdown, 2 touchdowns, touchdown.
Yeah. And then last week he was a big flop because, at some point, variance is going to kick in.
Yep. Yeah. No, and it kicked in real hard. But yeah, I'm under on most of. I almost took the under on Marquez Valdez-Scantling, but I stayed away from that for some reason.
He's another guy that just to quote the Rebar would just say he's out there exercising essentially, just getting in some cardio. He's out there running around a lot of routes, but just doesn't really, it doesn't separate himself. Just doesn't really get a lot of looks thrown his way.
Yeah. Pacheco, what would you put his rushing yards number at?
What would I put it at? 53.
48.5. Not a bad line. I'm still taking the over.
Okay. You take the over in my book?
I take the over in your book too. Pacheco's hit the over at your book. And let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 out of the last 10 games.
Yeah.
Again, hobbled Mahomes.
He doesn't catch the ball, but yeah, he'll run.
Yeah, I don't know why it's so low. Like hobbled Mahomes. They've been very successful in the run game. I assume they're going to run the ball slightly more in this spot because of Mahomes' injury. Just go with it.
I'm checking out to see what Derek Carty, the old blitz. Check out Derek Carty, the blitz, abort the blitz. If there's any like distinct differences as far as the book's numbers and his projections, he's got Pacheco for 49 yards for what it's worth. So basically, right in the number.
Well, I trust me over the blitz sometimes. I got that brain.
The brain's pretty good. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah. Last one, Brandon Ayuk over 3.5 receptions. I have to assume they're going to throw the ball more. It's just that simple. I've been rejected for over 4. So it's just a bit too low. Minus 110 at DK, minus 112 over at FanDuel. I just like it. I like it. He's been playing pretty solid in playoffs. Hasn't gotten a huge amount of volume, but I expect that to change here.
Yeah, I don't mind that. I'm curious what your thoughts are as far as you didn't mention CMC. I guess you just don't like anything as far as him, but they had that heating pad and whatever. They were working on his calf last week. He wasn't on the field a ton when they were grinding it out last week. Also, it was kind of in hand as well.
He said he'll play this weekend, I think.
Well, he's going to play. Like, of course he's going to play. I'm just curious how much they're going to, like, I don't want to say baby him, but, like, will they fully unleash him? Well, I mean, they seem to try Mitchell anyway, at least to run the ball, not to catch the ball.
Mitchell and Debo, like, they've got guys.
Yeah. So I'm saying maybe CMC under is a good bet is the point I'm making. As far as
I don't know. I haven't dug into it enough to make a decision on it, but
what's the number?
It's still early on. For rushing or receiving?
Rushing, is it like 65? I think it was 65 last week or in that area.
Yeah, it's at 50 over on points bet, 56, 57 at most spots.
Yeah, I kind of like the under in that. I kind of like the under.
Yeah. I mean, if you had points bet, you could try and 7-point middle, but
that's a pretty good middle.
Yeah, no, I don't mind that.
Is that usable? Do you do that often? Or like, if you are, is that big enough as far as a middle for you? I think it's enough wiggle room to make it worth your while.
I mean, depending if it was 110 on both sides, I probably would.
It's not.
Yeah, minus 120 on the over up of 50.5.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah. What, do you think Brendan Fraser's going to win an Oscar?
Yeah, I think he's going to be Oscar, and it's funny. I was going to let you know about this a couple months ago. Ducky, my buddy Ducky, you're friendly with him as well. He told me that, Blanchett. He told me this like 2 months ago. Like, just Blanchett's going to win the Oscar for Best Actress for Tar, and I think she's now become the favorite. So I did a very poor job acting on that. I saw it was like
have it at legal sports books, or do you have to go?
DraftKings, I think, has it. Yeah, and I was going to mention this to you like 2 months ago. I just totally forgot. And I think the lines changed pretty dramatically. But I think it was either I can't remember. I think she was like plus 150, which I'm almost positive that's not available anymore for Blanchett. But I think Fraser is they're both heavy favorites. I'm pretty sure. Is the point I'm making. And you saw The Whale. You said you liked it.
No, I cried. I absolutely cried.
Yeah, but to be fair, you cried at like George of the Jungle. Any Brendan Fraser movie, I think that kind of gets you, right?
He watched out for that tree.
And no wheeze in the juice.
Wheeze the juice.
The thing is, I cry at every Pauly Shore movie.
Yeah, well, I'm sure you cried in Encino Man. Yes. I almost cried when no spoilers, but when he finds love.
In Encino Man? Yeah, they both don't they? Doesn't everybody find love in Encino Man and Slurpees?
Pretty much, yeah. I
haven't seen it in a very long time, so.
DraftKings is issuing a refund for Luca.
Oh God, I'm so angry.
Yeah.
Oh. You're now life is about expectations, Grant. It's about expectations. And now the people think all they got to do is whine and bitch and moan every single time. And I'm not pro sportsbook. I want people to win, but this is not the way to do it. Oh man. I go on, I'm sure you see me on Twitter, not to start on a rant or whatever. Now you got me triggered, but, whenever somebody is injured in the first quarter and they're done with they're done for the game, go to the mentions for DraftKings Sportsbook, FanDuel Sportsbook, and just say, and everybody's like, refund. And like, it's all sort of baked in, like bet the under if you think the guy's going to get it. And of course, there's out there saying that Luka conspired with DK to get hurt. I don't know if you saw this nonsense. Like the conspiracies out there are insane. This is risk versus rewards. Luka's like, yeah, I'm going to pretend like I turned my ankle or whatever he did, and I'm not going to play because DK is going to give me some sort of a kickback. Like, it's outrageous because people are betting on him getting a triple-double. And again, the problem is you're setting a precedent, and the precedent is that they are willing to do this a certain amount of times. And as long as they're willing to do it a certain amount of times, every single time this happens, people are going to expect it. And if it doesn't happen, they're disappointed. And you should never expect it, and you should appreciate it the very, very, very rare times it happens. But that's not how it's going to be going down. And all these new states ratifying, all these new sports bettors, they think this is the norm. They think this is like, oh, of course that's correct. They don't even realize that the book is paying on both ends because it's not like they're not paying on the under. Oh, you got me going, Grant.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, there's one guy in particular. We won't mention his name. I know you quote tweeted him the other night.
He's got 130,000 followers.
Yeah, and he's not a good bettor.
I don't even know, but I would assume so because he's got to be a dope, or it's a bit.
No, and he takes like 10-leg parlays. Like this is hit 95% of the time over the last 20 games. And then he can play, and he keeps getting refunded. That's probably why he's not losing a bunch of money because he keeps complaining, gets all his followers to complain. They all get refunded, and he gets refunded. Just absolute insanity.
So you're with me. I mean, again, I'm not here. I want the sports bettor. The book makes plenty of money. I'm not here on the side of the man. I'm on the side.
I mean, the reason they do that is because it's always on an injury. So generally, stupid people bet the over. Like, I mean, I take the overs a decent amount, but generally, stupid people bet the over at a huge rate. And I mean, they have so much money on the line. Like, whenever something like that happens, they make an absolute killing because they have the 8+, 12+, 14+. Everyone always bets and throws in parlays, so they make an absolute killing. Like, even if they refund
get it back
all those
eventually.
Bets, absolutely ridiculous.
But again, you're telling these people that you're going to be rewarded for begging for something you don't deserve. Sometimes, or enough where you're going to keep whining going forward. And now people are going to be like, hey, FanDuel, DK refunded us. Why don't you refund us? Are they better? I'm going to take all my money to DK. It's just like, first of all, you should be in both.
I mean, in our defense, like we've kind of called for that when games get postponed. Like the last game of the night, we can't late swap and gets postponed. Like,
that's a different scenario, I think. Yeah. You're talking like a DFS perspective we're talking about.
Yeah.
I think that's a different scenario. And I understand, like the sites it is brutal for them as well. And they're kind of in a tough predicament.
And we're not demanding it. Like, we're demanded it. I'm like, it'd be great if you refund it. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you're taking on the risk of a player. It's not a completely absurd scenario that the player you bet to score X number of points gets hurt playing the game. Like that's, what do they say? What term they use? Like a God event or whatever. Like when the roof starts leaking or something. Act of God. Yeah, I knew there was a term like that. Like that's a different scenario. What happened with Cincinnati and Buffalo, right? Like that game was that stuff just got to go away. I think. I assume that everything was just a wash in that game, bets wise.
I think they just refunded everyone.
Yeah, I think that's but just the player getting hurt, and I've seen people have their player gets hurt in the third quarter, and they're asking for it, or if their player gets
he was 8 points away in the third quarter, he might have gotten there. Refund me.
It's insane. It's gone too far, man. And again, I don't totally blame because there's a lot of new bettors and a lot of new states that have gratified, and a lot of people just sort of bet, I like the Bears, I like the Packers. They don't bet, well, this guy's going to score X number of points. And that's not something they're used to necessarily. And there's a bunch, and you got to train them and explain to them. And when they pay them out, when they refund them, I would say there should be an addendum. It says, just so you know, this is us being nice. You don't have to do this. We're being kind. Don't expect this going forward. Like say that in a way where it's not as condescending, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. Well, it's a lot of times they refund like when he's the only losing leg in a same game parlay, knowing that those bettors are big losers. So let's kick back a little bit to get him to keep losing.
Same game parlays is one of the best ways they make money. That's my understanding.
Yep. Oh yeah. The juice in that, like the hold can be upwards of 15% in those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you got me going. I was a little bit. I was still getting going, but now I'm wired. I did not see DK refunded, and Yeah. Now I want to
All
see
right, now that you're
FanDuel
wired,
Sports.
let's get on out of here.
Yeah, let's
Got
do
you
it.
wired for the rest of the day.
I appreciate it.
Well, yeah, it's been fun. Thanks for hopping on, Daniel, you piece of crap. We'll
I
be back
appreciate
again
it.
on
Yeah,
Monday. Good luck on football this weekend. We're out of here.